Hello, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Let's begin with quadratic functions today. Okay, so I will quickly solve questions from past papers that will also help you to cover up the concepts. Now, just a couple of conditions for functions, and those are for each input, there is an output. Meaning for each value of x, there should be a value of y. In case for any value of x, if there is no value of y, it is not a function. So this is a problem. Okay? Number second. Different x's can have a single y, that's okay. But one x cannot have two values of y, this is wrong. Many inputs can have a single output, but a single input cannot have many outputs. Okay? Now, what is domain and what is range? That's also important. Domain are the values of x you are interested in. Corresponding values meaning if you look at a normal graph, right? So it goes from minus infinity to plus infinity. Like it can go on and on and on and on. But if you say that you are only interested, whether you're interested in just this portion of the graph, you're interested in this portion of the graph, or you're interested in complete graph, that will be defined by domain. Which portion of the graph you are interested in. Achha, if you are interested in this green portion of the graph, you can say that the value of y starts from here and ends here. So this is your range. Okay? So different questions will have different domains, and for that domains you will find out the range. This is just an overview that I'm giving. Okay? What is a function and what is an inverse function? It's basically a reflection in the line y is equals to x. The domain of the function becomes the range of the inverse function. Because, why does that happen? In the reflection, this is what happens. X becomes y and y becomes x. Domain becomes the range. Range becomes the domain. Okay? Let's move on to the examples now. The rest of the concepts will be done with the help of examples. Find the value of k for which the line g of x is tangent to the curve. Now, tangency means b square minus 4ac is equal to 0. Meaning 2x minus k is equals to the value of a is 2, the value of b is 6, and the value of c is 1 plus k. B square minus 4ac is equal to 0. Six and 2, it becomes 28. That gives me okay. In the case where k is minus 9, find a set of values for which f of x is less than g of x. In the case where k is minus 9, f of x is less than g of x. Plus 1 minus 9 will give you minus 8. When there is a less than sign, this is how you write your answer. First answer, second answer. Now, the third part says, K, find G inverse fx and solve the equation. So the first thing is you have to find out what is G inverse. G of x is 2x minus k. So y, acha k ki value is minus 1, so it will become 2x plus 1. इसके अंदर f डाल देंगे. Now this is easy. A is 1, B is 4, and C is 1. Minus B. (16 minus 4 is going to give you 12. 12 is 4 into 3, so it's 2 under root 3. That gives me minus, if I take 2 common out, so these are my values of x. Take care. Now express f of x in the form this, hence state the least value. F of x is 2x squared plus 8x plus 1. You have to express this in the form 2x plus a the whole square plus b. This is my last part. I'm using the comparison method. Let's look at another question. Now that was more of a quadratic question than a functions question, but all function questions involve concepts of quadratic. Question number 2(1). Express 2x squared plus 8x minus 10 in the form. Simply expand it. Be careful of the expansion. A is equals to 2, B, 2AB is equals to 8, 4B is equals to 8, so B value is 2. AB square plus C is equals to minus 10. For the curve, they state the least value of y and the corresponding value of x. Remember that these are the coordinates of the turning point. This is a minimum graph. If you look at the quadratic concepts, if this is greater than 0, it's minimum. If this is less than 0, it is maximum. And these are my coordinates of turning point. Also called the vertex, also called the stationary point. So my least value is always the value of y, which is minus 18, and corresponding value of x will be minus 2. Now find a set of values of x for which y is greater than and equal to 14. What is y? This entire equation. So I'll just input the same thing, the completing square format. 14 plus 18 is 32. 32 divided by 2 gives you 16. 16 pe I will input the square root on both the sides. Now there's no square here. We've removed the square. Now 8 minus 2 is 6. Minus 8 minus 2 is minus 10. You flip the sign with the smaller numbers. That's my answer. Now the next question is find the least for which, remember, f is 1 to 1 means inverse exists. Now this is enough. For inverse to exist, the function can only be either increasing or decreasing. A function mein there's also a turning point. So how do we know that's only increasing? So if this is the function, for inverse to exist, either your domain should be only to the right of the curve or only to the left of the curve. It should not be complete function. For a complete function, the inverse will not exist. So if this is the turning point, let's suppose 2 and 1. X greater than 2, x less than 2, x is an element of a real number, from minus 1 x till 3, x less than 3, x greater than minus 1, x less than 0. For these are the different domains that I've written. Let's find out for how many of these domains will the inverse exist. For this one, yes, it will exist because we're just considering the right portion. Yes, because we're just considering the left portion. X is less than 0 means I'm considering this portion. So yes, the inverse will exist. X is an element of a real number means the entire graph. So the inverse will not exist. Minus 1 starts from here, 3 ends here. So that means the turning point comes within the domain. So inverse will not exist. Less than 3 means this entire function, you go down and then you start going up. The turning point comes within the domain. Inverse will not exist. Minus 1 से start किया, आगे चलते ही we just went on and on and on. The inverse will not exist. ठीक है, so you have to be careful. अच्छा, why inverse exists? Because it is a one-to-one function. This is what you write as the reason. Y inverse does not exist because it is not a one-to-one function. Very simple. Okay? These are the reasons that you state when they ask you to state it. ठीक है. So 1 to 1, 1 to 1 or inverse means they're synonym, like the same thing. Find the least value of k for which f is 1 to 1 means inverse exists. So for inverse to exist, the function domain should either start or stop at the turning point. It should not cross it. If I look at this function, this is my function. And if I plot it, it's minus 2, minus 18. This is how the function looks like. So either it should be greater than minus 2 or less than minus 2. So the value of k should be minus 2 for the function to be 1 to 1. Okay? Express f inverse in terms of x in this case. Now here comes another concept. If domain of x is less than k, write a negative sign in the inverse function outside the square root. If domain of x is greater than k, write a positive sign in the inverse function of f of x, not of inverse, of f of x. Okay? So over here the domain of f of x is greater than, we always use completing square format to make inverse expression of f inverse. Now let's pick up the equation. 2x plus 2 the whole square minus 18 is f of x. Let's make y the subject. Y plus 18 divided by 2, put a square root, then a minus 2 equals to x. So f inverse x is a plus outside. You can choose not to write the plus sign. Okay, and that's it. That's all that they're asking you. Okay? Let's move on to the next question. So I've covered inverse here. I've also covered when inverse exists, when it does not exist. Okay, this is also interesting. In the form this 8x minus x square equals to a minus x square minus 2bx minus b square. Minus 2b is equals to 8, b is minus 4. A minus b square equals to 0. Coordinates of the stationary point are always h comma k. If the value of x, this is minus, you take the positive value. If this is plus, then you take the negative value. And this is the maximum graph. Okay, these are my coordinates of stationary point. Now, find a set of values of x of which this is greater than or equal to minus 20. This is the third part. First part, this is first part, second part, now the third part. Greater than or equal to minus 20. Minus 20, minus 16, minus 36. When I remove both the signs of negative, the inequality sign will flip. Put a square root on both the sides. 6 plus 4 is 10. Rearrange the inequality That's my answer for the third one. Now, fourth, state the domain and range of G inverse. The domain, now what you have to do is you have to find out, let's sketch it first. So this is my minus. So if I sketch, it's always preferable to sketch the graph to find out the range and domain because that makes things easy. Now 4 and 16, this is how the graph looks like. My domain is x is greater than and equal to 4. Domain is x is greater than and equal to 4. Range will become, this is the portion of the graph that I'm interested in. So it will become f of x is greater than, this is the maximum graph. My bad, I didn't look at it. So this will be inverted. F of x is less than 16. Now you know in inverse, domain and range are flipped. Meaning for inverse, the domain will become x is less than and equal to 16 and the range will become greater than and equal to 4. Acha, this is G inverse, so I will write a G inverse here. Okay, this is my answer for range and domain of G inverse. See, they wrote this as a G. Find an expression in terms of x for G inverse. Now you have to find an expression which I told you is only possible through completing square form. Y minus 16 is equals to minus x minus 4 the whole square. 16 minus y se sign remove हुआ, under root plus 4 gives you x. G inverse x is equals to 16 minus x plus 4. There will be a plus sign outside because the domain of G was greater than. The normal function was greater than side, so it's always like that. Okay, let's do a couple of more questions to understand, to have a better understanding of quadratic functions. Now this also includes transformation because it's a relatively new question. Okay, express this in the form minus 3x squared plus 12x plus 2 in the form minus 3x squared minus 2ax plus a squared plus b. Multiply minus 3 sign with it. Six a is equals to 12. X minus a plus b. This is my answer to the first part. Now, the second part says it is 1 to 1. State the largest. You know this is always x coordinate of the turning point because you need to stop at the turning point and this is the value of x, so it's going to be just the x coordinate. So the value of k is going to be just 2. It is now given that the value of k is minus 1. State the range of f. Now first let's plot the graph. So we need to have a better understanding ke bhai, where is x minus 1. This is a maximum graph, 2 and 14. This is how it will look like. They're saying the value of k is minus 1. That means x is less than and equal to minus 1. This is where minus 1 is and this is the portion of the graph that I'm interested in. Let's input minus 1. 3 square is 9. So I'm getting a minus 13. So it's less than minus 13 because it is going towards the downward direction. since it was a rough sketch, so obviously minus 13 cannot be in the positive y-axis. Minus 1 must be falling somewhere here, so that the value of x is minus 13. Value y is minus 13. Okay. Okay, now next is find an expression for f inverse x. Now this is the less than key domain, so we will write a minus sign. Okay, y minus 14 divided by minus 3. Now f inverse x is equals to this is the answer for the D part. This is C part. Okay, now f of x has been translated. Express g of x in the form this minus 3 to 1. Okay, minus 3 1 means this is horizontal translation of minus 3. This is vertical translation of plus 1. Now my actual is minus 3x minus 2 whole square plus 14. This is f of x. A horizontal translation is indicated inside with a plus sign. So it will become a vertical translation goes outside. They're saying you have to write it as an expanded form. Okay, I think that's about it. Okay, let's do one more question. Hopefully that's going to be the last question. For which f of x is greater than 4, then you have to state it in this form. This is like repetitive parts again and again. So this becomes x minus 3 upon 2 whole square minus 9 upon 4 equals to f of x. Now write down the range of f. Now this is an x is an element of a real number. X is an element of a real number. Let's plot the graph. (1.5) and this is minus 9 upon 4. All graph or all values of x. It means I'm considering the whole graph. For the whole graph, I can see that my value of y starts from minus 9 upon 4 and it's a minimum, so it goes above that. Okay, this is important. Now, write down the range of state with a reason whether f has an inverse. No, it does not have an inverse because it is not a one-to-one function. This is what you will write in your answer statement. But actually, since there is a turning point, there is no inverse. Last part, the function g is this. Solve the equation g of x is equals to 10. X minus 3 under root x equals to 10. This is the last part. This is like a disguise equation. Under root x is equals to a. Five equals to under root x. Okay, that's about it.